What the Dallas Cowboys have done in this offseason is actually pretty extraordinary. They have revamped their defense with moves in free agency. They lost some players, but a lot of it was necessary in order to grow, and it all starts with what the front office did in this offseason. Jacob Hebert here of NFL World, going to break this down for you. They are very loaded now, but let's explain what happened in free agency. First of all, the key departures. There were two free agents that were big losses or starting caliber players, and a trade. Let's first begin with the trade. Osa Odigizua getting traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a third-round pick. They paid him $20 million last offseason. And it just didn't work out. He wasn't as impactful as they thought. When they traded for Kenny Clark, Kenny Clark was more impactful than him and played more. Osa was just not impactful. And then they traded for Quinn Williams, and then Osa still wasn't that impactful. It didn't do anything. So they said, we need to get rid of him. They didn't save a lot of money in doing it. They got a pick back, a third-round pick, which we'll get into in a little bit. But then the big free agent departures were Jadeveon Clowney, Donovan Wilson. Clowney had 8.5 sacks. In the beginning, at the end, I should say, of the season, it was talk about bringing him back. When the new coaching staff came in, no longer the case. He's still a free agent, so the door is still technically open, but I don't know if they're willing to do it. In the case of Donovan Wilson, he was a starter. Wasn't very good. He was playing free safety for some reason. He's not good at it. He can't cover anything. He's a box safety. You put him in the box, you let him go and run downhill and do all these things. That's his skill set. Bring him in coverage? No bueno. Don't do that. So he walks. He's still a free agent. Then they make there were some other departures, I should say. But the big one that no one wants to talk about is Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray, huge disappointment. Huge. He was not good. Could not cover, could not do anything. He didn't even know where the play was going half the time, which is what a middle linebacker is supposed to do, and they couldn't do anything. He couldn't get anyone lined up. Nobody knew what was going on. So he was out of here. Let's explain how they replaced the players. Jalen Thompson came in for Donovan Wilson. He played in Arizona. He kind of did some slot cornerback, which if the draft didn't fall the Cowboys' way, that's where I think he would have played, and they would have just signed a safety after the draft, or drafted a different safety later on. But he can do that. He can also play strong safety. He can play some free safety. So versatility was key. Then in the draft, the Cowboys, first of all, they nailed their draft. They really did, especially in the first 2 days, because they had the same mindset. No, quote unquote, no redshirt players. No players with injury history. No players who are currently injured and going to miss the year. And that was not just the draft, that was during free agency also. They draft Caleb Downs, who I said was the best player in the draft. They draft Malachi Lawrence, who they were going to get at 20, and they got at 23. Okay, it's fine. He got him, high-profile guy, I guess. That would be. He's high motor, resilient, not as pro-ready as Downs is, but he has massive potential. If he can reach that potential, he'll be a 10-plus sack a year guy. That's how good he is. And he played at UCF. The Cowboys have had success with getting those kinds of players at a smaller school, but they always have success with that. They did not have a second-round pick after trading for Quinn Williams. Third-round pick, Jayshon Barham, who played edge rusher at Michigan in his final year, but was a linebacker before that. So he's going back to that position. They traded for D. Winters, who's going to be the Kenneth Murray replacement. Those two are going to go back and forth with it. Then you go into your fourth round. You selected a backup offensive tackle in Drew Shelton. Devin Moore, who's the only player they drafted that has a little bit of an injury history. I think he was a cornerback from Florida. Then they go LT Overton, who was an edge rusher from Alabama. They'll kick him inside the defensive tackle. That's fine. He's a big guy and he blocks the run. That's all he's got to do. And then the last player they selected was Anthony Smith, the receiver from East Carolina. He's more of just throwing a dart at the wall and see what happens. That's what they're going to do. Everybody else, even in free agency, the replacement for Osa Odigizua, which is not LT Overton, was Ortito Raboni, who was his job. This is all his job is: stop the run. He's a big guy who stops the run. He's not a pass rusher. He does not get after the quarterback. Let him over there and let's go. It's like, all right, and he did a good job in Jesse Minter's defense. He's done it. He knows how to do these things. You're comfortable with that. What this showed me is two things in this draft, in this offseason process. It started when they selected the coaching staff. After Matt Eberflus was fired, the front office did something they haven't done in a long time. They got out of the way. They said, Brian Schottenheimer, this is your team. You're the head coach of this team. You're going to select a defensive coordinator. You're going to go and select coaches picked by you and by that defensive coordinator. And that's how we're going to build it. Why? Because we saw it work with you guys on offense. That's what they did last year. Schottenheimer became the head coach. He kept a few assistants around, and then he brought in a whole new core group of guys. Some from college, some from the pros, some new, some old. He did the whole thing. He's doing the same thing. He did the same thing on defense. Some college guys, some pro guys, some experienced guys, some non-experienced guys. And it's an advantage for them because they can relate to the players. But also you selected players that are going to fit with what you want to do, and you got the best players that you could get. That's the important thing. Get those things done. When they hired Christian Parker to be the defensive coordinator, he said two things that were very interesting. When he selected Caleb Downs, talking about Caleb Downs, at least that's what I think he was talking about. He said the slot corner or nickel corner needs to be able to almost act like a safety. He needs to be able to cover, he needs to be able to blitz, and he needs to be able to go and stop the run. That's what Caleb Downs does so well. The reason it could not be a veteran coordinator was not just because of the experience of the players. It was because no veteran coordinator was going to take the job for many reasons. One, this is the fourth new defensive coordinator in 4 years. So no one wants this job. You're going to have to get an experienced guy, which has its own fair share of problems. You have a front office that meddles. Can't afford that. You have to find a way to deal with that, and then deal with the fact that you are now with the Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot of media. If you can do those things, you make it work, and good things could happen. Do I think this is a Super Bowl caliber team? I don't see that. I don't see that. I think this is a playoff team, though. This is 100% a playoff team. For one reason. If this defense can get to be average, just average, they're going to be okay. They're going to be really good in a good spot. Because if your offense can continue, and I know there's a lot of ifs, I understand that. If the offense can be where it was last year, and the defense can be middle of the pack, even if it's like the 20th, if it's the 20th ranked defense, you're going to win like 2 to 3 more games because those defenses can get off the field. That's the thing. And when we see these schedules get released on Thursday, you're going to say, okay, can our defense put together a game where they looked really good and they were playing a little over their head, and we can show them over and over and over again, hey guys, we're this good. That's what you want to see. Can the Cowboys manage that? I think that could happen, but it's going to have to be in the belief of the players and the belief of the coaches. And I think you put the best people around to help that out. Let me know in the comments, what is the record the Cowboys are going to have in 2026? And let me know, did the Jones boys get it right this time? For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.